Hello, I'm the Irish guy, and right, Premier League Gameweek 17. Let's see if the streak continues, and let's just see if I did get at least one correct prediction this weekend. All I want is one. Please, just save me for whatever hideous forfeit I said I'd do. Right, let's go. Nottingham Forest 0, Tottenham 2. Play the clip.
So yeah, I see nothing other than a clinical, powerful Tottenham performance. A pretty comfy 2-0 win. Richarlison and Son with the goals.
Well, oh, look at that, lads. Lads, this was comfortable. I said that Tottenham would beat Nottingham Forest 2-0, and they did. With ease. Even Richarlison scored. I can't tell you how relaxing or relieving it was when I got the first prediction of the weekend right on the Friday evening. I could then just relax. Well, until the Newcastle Fulham match. More on that later. But yeah, good Tottenham win, although Steve Cooper is right now a jittery penguin. Just sitting at home begging the telephone not to ring. He must be so scared of the sack that honestly, when that phone does ring, he'll be like one of those nervous teen babysitters in any Scream horror film, which is sort of a fitting analogy because he does look a bit like one of those ghost face masks. Honestly, the pressure on Cooper is mountainous. Do you really think he's going to be able to enjoy his turkey in peace next week? No, he'll probably be so on edge on Christmas Day. His wife will probably have to drag him by the collar out of the toilets as he's hyperventilating into the bathroom bin. His head is probably so scrambled. The only thing he can think about is the impending sack that, yeah, I mean, forget the presents. His kids are going to be so confused when they unwrap that box of bird poo he accidentally placed under the Christmas tree. Honestly, Cooper is not with it. He can't be. Next, Liverpool 0, Man United 0. Porridge. Absolutely disgusting Weetabix. This football match was horrific. I sat through the full 90 minutes of this absolute monstrosity match, and it honestly felt like I just watched the entire film of Beat the Spartans on DVD. It was as if somebody had handcuffed me to a chair and made me watch an hour and a half of random sheep mating on a farm. It was absolute wet garbage. Erik ten Hag. This bloke is set up at Anfield, trying desperately not to lose, praying that he'll be able to escape with a 0-0 draw. Is this really befitting of a Manchester United boss? Is this the beauty of Ajax football? Is it really in his job description to think it's acceptable to escape with a 0-0 draw at Anfield? For that alone, he should be forced to sit in the corner of the Man United club canteen, just being told to eat a lunchbox filled with cow sick for the week, right? No. No. I'm going to say this. I think Ten Hag did the right thing. Ten Hag is not the first Manchester United manager to leave Anfield with a 0-0 draw. They pretty much all did it. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did exactly that in January 2021. I mean, did that mean that his players were just unable to score? That there was a striking crisis at the club? That he was a managerial weasel who was unable to get his team to score a goal? And was unable to coach actual attacking football? Well, no, because 2 weeks later, they won a Premier League match by 9 goals. Lads, that day, the Reds had a centre-back pairing of Jordan Henderson and Fabinho. Man United being unable to find a winner that day against that sellotape together putting defence. That was a missed opportunity in 2021. But Jose Mourinho left Anfield with 2 0-0 draws in 2016 and 2017. I think that was fine. He was nullifying Mane, Firmino, Salah, Coutinho. They were good results. Although, to be fair, in that 2016 match, Liverpool's fullbacks were Milner and Klein, who was an absolute wet ice cream like Loris Karius in net. Again, maybe that was a missed opportunity too. But 0-0s happen in this fixture. Sir Alex Ferguson left with 1 in September 2005, Roy Keane's last game for the club. It's fine. I mean, no wonder Keane was so defensive about Man United after this 0-0 draw this weekend, because that was literally his last game for the club. He broke his foot carving out a 0-0 draw at Anfield. They're not bad results. But listen, I'm not going to go in on Ten Hag and say that he showed the attacking adventurous verve of a blind pig. I think that he hit this ground with that point when just 6 months ago, they left here having conceded 7. It's good. This must be a traumatizing arena for those Man United players. So to turn up with Johnny Evans in defense and not to concede a goal, well done. Liverpool have destroyed Man United in recent years. So I do not think any Man United fan can possibly be unhappy that they have managed to avoid defeat. And lads, if Rasmus Højlund wasn't rustier than a broken radiator, this could have been a smash and grab 1-0 win. Just like when Paul Pogba missed a gilt-edged chance to win this fixture in 2021. Lads, people haven't focused on it too much because he has scored goals in Europe. But lads, that is 13 Premier League games without a goal. I remember when Peter Crouch had to wait 12 Premier League games to score his first for Liverpool back in 2005. And the pressure was huge. I mean, there was more attention and scrutiny on him back then, to be fair, because, I mean, the Reds were reigning European champions. I mean, Rafa Benitez should have been shopping for a marquee superstar name like David Villa, right? Not someone that looks like he used to do a podcast with Ricky Gervais. But lads, I remember when England fans were booing this guy during that horror run. The whole nation was laughing at him, and yet Højlund, he's gone 1 Premier League game longer without a goal, and yet 0 pressure. Nothing. People are just being really, really nice to him. Honestly, justice for Crouch. As for Liverpool, I don't think the fans should overreact. Their own fans are calling them bottlers and frauds for failing to break down Man United. I'm sorry, but you're 1 point off the top spot. You absolutely dominated this game. You just kept rushing your shots in the final third. It's fine. There's no huge disaster here. no apocalypse. It's fine. For those Liverpool fans that think it's some great insult that you failed to beat Man United, that it's now a stain on the club. No. Liverpool versus Manchester United is one of the greatest fixtures in world football. It's usually a match where the form guide goes out the window, and you have been spoiled. Since May 2021, Liverpool have beat Man United 4-2, 5-0, 4-0, and 7-0. How can you accuse those players of not caring about this game when they literally gave you bragging rights for life? 7-0 is a monster historical result. Sure, Man United aren't a good team right now, no, but lads, they've been in the dumps for over 10 years, ever since Fergie left. And I mean, they still managed to win their City derby against the all-conquering Man City 9 times. 9 wins against City since Fergie retired. The form guide does not matter for these sorts of games. Honestly, just relax. Man City 2, Crystal Palace 2. You reckon Pep Guardiola is sick to his teeth of Crystal Palace? This is an absolutely elite supercoach who has blitzed English football. But I'm sorry, for whatever reason, the greatest boss in the world seems to have about as much fun playing against Crystal Palace as he would do eating ice cream off Santa Claus's greasy thigh. This is the 6th different time Man City have tripped up against Crystal Palace on Guardiola's watch. Honestly, Hodgson is like that scary, bloodthirsty boogeyman who sleeps under Pep's bed. I guarantee you, Guardiola probably has regular nightmares about this old granddad just biting off his toes while he sleeps. But as this was the height of sloppiness, Jack Grealish and Rico Lewis score goals, give City a very manageable 2-goal lead. With just 20 minutes left, then João Mateta scores to pull one back. And then in the final minute, Phil Foden. This is supposed to be an experienced leader of the team now, right? He sticks out a clumsy leg, penalty, and up steps Michael Olise, someone who briefly used to be in the City Academy. Lads, when you want to talk about pure star quality, Olise has it in spades. This is one of those super cool players who have sizzling, saucy technique, and they know it. They have ice cool blood running through their veins. I mean, remember that last minute free kick screamer against Manchester United? And he just stood still, doing a non-celebration like Balotelli. This kid is special. I mean, come on. He is a talent who's been passed through the academies of Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City. That doesn't happen to you unless you got the raw talent of a mini Ronaldinho. This is a Londoner. It managed to squeeze his way into the France underage setup, despite them always being inundated with golden generations. Lads, this guy who rejected a return to Chelsea in the summer to instead sign a 4-year Palace deal. I'm gonna say this. I think that was about as clever as me deciding to rope a couple of donkeys together and try to fly to the North Pole. Yeah, I'd be instantly sectioned. Chelsea had activated a £35 million release clause in his contract before they went and signed Cole Palmer instead. Lads, I mean, I thought when Palmer rocked up at Stamford Bridge that he'd be another Noni Madwake, just rotting in the attic above the Chelsea canteen, being fed fish heads and moldy milk for tea. But no, he's instantly slotted in, taking over for Mason Mount as the face of the team with all the responsibility on his back. That could have been Olise, learning under Mauricio Pochettino, someone who managed to get Daddy Ali to be talked about for Ballon d'Ors. That could have been your future instead of just working for an old granddad who is probably liable to pooing his pants 4 times a day. I think that move to Stamford Bridge would have been incredible for Olise's development. But no, instead he's taken the Wilfred Zaha route of just signing up to be a big fish in a small pond. And guess what, Michael? That is a nice little ego trip of a career, yeah, being the king of Palace, but look at Wilf. It's just a breadcrumb that leads you into the Turkish Super League before you're 31. Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 0. Lad, Cole Palmer is doing a madness, but I'm gonna say this. I know he's not as young as we all think. He turns 22 years old before the season ends. We all just assume that he's an 18-year-old winger because before his £40 million move in the summer, he'd only be given 12 starts in senior men's football. 12. You know what though? Because City just sit on their academy talent, because they're so protective of them, refusing a lot of them any sort of loan move, instead just telling them to sit still and learn the Man City way from the youth coaches, then a lot of these academy graduates are actually really old when they finally make their debut. Lads, exciting academy prospect Micah Hamilton scored in his debut for Man City in the Champions League midweek. I'll be honest, I had never heard of his name in my life. I was just shocked that Man City had produced another Micah. Does he also laugh like one of those evil hyenas of the Lion King? So lads, for a name I had literally never heard of, I was expecting to Google this child and find out that he's only 16 or 17. No. He's already in his 20s. How does a player get to 20 years of age without a single minute of men's football under their belt? Oscar Bob was a breakout Man City star this season, right? The latest Norwegian Golden Generation superstar. But lads, he's 20 and played 9 senior games of men's football. When his compatriot Odegaard was 20 years of age, it was 6 years after his senior men's debut. He'd since joined the biggest club in the world and was already onto his 4th different loan spell. Although, lads, how on earth Real Madrid actually agreed to loan him to Arsenal, treating him as if he's just another Dani Ceballos, just loaning him away as if he was a sandwich covered in your grandmother's poo? I'll never know. But I mean, lads, Phil Foden was refused a loan move away, but at least he was breaking into the City team when he was young. Jadon Sancho's career is in a mess now, but he was arguably right right to get impatient and quit Man City when he was 17. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't be allowed to make his debut until we were halfway through lockdown. We wouldn't have known about this guy's name until the Christmas of 2020. Yeah, instead, that was probably his first Christmas, where he was a bona fide multi-millionaire superstar. So maybe I shouldn't be too shocked that Palmer is dominating this wet weasel of a Chelsea squad. He's just doing what Mason Mount was doing at Chelsea at a similar age, just assuming absolute total midfield responsibility and stepping up when it matters. But again, when I just see a complete lack of hunger in Man City squad right now, would it not have been clever to keep Palmer around and give him more minutes on the pitch? Honestly, lads, the Man City under-23 team is full of teenage talents, yes, like their goalie True Grant, which honestly just sounds like a Newcastle fan who runs the kickoff. But yeah, I mean, there's a few unknown 20-year-olds in there too, practical old men who've been refused loan moves away, and as a result, nobody knows who they are. I mean, have you ever heard of striker Will Dixon? I mean, lads, you would assume that this would be a complicated La Masia-esque City setup, that their underage coaches would be some of the most brilliant minds in football. Well, lads, Jimmy Barry Murphy was one of the greatest dual GAA players of all time. Excellent at Gaelic football and hurling, helping Cork win 5 All-Irelands. This guy is a living legend in Cork pubs, probably even more so than Roy Keane. Well, weirdly, his son Brian is entrusted with the next Man City golden generation, a former midfielder for Cork City, Bury and Rochdale. That is weird. I would love to be a fly on the wall in the Man City staff room and seeing a superstar celebrity like Guardiola try and understand the words of Brian Barry Murphy. I just can't imagine those two sharing a pot of tea and a plate of cookies. It's an insanely weird double act. A bit like trying to imagine Rihanna on a date with Thug Dad. But yeah, my point is, Palmer, fair play. Newcastle 3, Fulham 0. Play the clip.
Newcastle 1, Fulham 0. These fixtures are always low scoring, horrible matches. Newcastle versus Fulham is one of the most historically boring, worst Premier League matches of all time. If there are more than 3 goals in this match, then I will dye my hair blonde.
Lads, I did not enjoy that. You cannot understand how uncomfortable I was watching the final minutes of that match. Lads, I was the width of a post from going blonde. In the final minute, Callum Wilson arrows a shot that just cannons back off the far post. If that was 2 inches to the right, then right now I would look like I've got Dido in the boot of my car. Lads, this is a match that was 0-0 at half time, but I am sorry. Fulham striker Raul Jimenez is a buffoon. He's a dope. He's a clown. This man who has literally cracked his skull like an Easter egg. He should know better than jumping into Sean Longstaff like a crazy Jackie Chan. This isn't even the first time that this monster clown has been sent off in the first half of a match. I remember watching this foolish troll trudging off the pitch for Wolves almost 2 years ago to the day for 2 horrible quick-fire yellow cards against Man City at the Etihad. Again, the score of the day was 0-0 at the time. And guess what? Oh, Wolves lost the match. Wow, I can't believe that game was already over 2 years ago. It only feels like last week. I'm sorry, but Raul, but ever since recovering from that horror injury skull break, he seems to have tapped into this horrible evil side of his brain. It's like watching the plot to Malignant. It's almost like there's a twisted monster trying to escape his skull that's causing him to lash out in the build up to Christmas every year. Ozzy, virtually every December now, he just collects stupid red cards, and his tackles are getting even worse. Ozzy, by the end of his career, every December, he's just going to have morphed into a violent horror 18s version of the Grinch, just getting red cards for attacking center halves with a mini chainsaw that he pulls out of his shorts. But listen, Lewis Miley replaces Joe Linton on the pitch and scores his first ever goal. Lads, this is a wonder kid. This is a child who probably still writes letters to Santa Claus. I mean, I remember when I was his age, I kept asking Santa for a hug off my mum. Maybe Santa's dyslexic. Lads, Miley is someone who is 3 years younger than City's Hamilton. Honestly, Miley is a supreme talent, but again, if he was in the City setup, nobody outside his friends and family would even know his name until 2026. Considering this child was literally 13 years old when Steve Bruce took the Newcastle job, to be doing what he is doing is out of this world. He joined Newcastle when he was 7. Whenever I hear that a young player joined the club when they were 6 or 7, like Iker Casillas at Real Madrid, I immediately think that it was in a completely long ago different era. Now, Miley joined Newcastle when he was 7, yeah, but that was the same summer they were signing Loic Remy. It's not that long ago at all. So great Newcastle win, brilliant for Miley, but yeah. I'm just thankful that I'm not blonde. Brentford 1, Aston Villa 2. Emiliano Martinez is an absolute sausage pot. I'm sorry, but in the final minutes of this match, where Ollie Watkins has scored the winner against his former club and then just shushed the home fans, that sparked an ugly end to this match. Lads, Emiliano Martinez and Neil Maupay are 2 guys who in another life would have been buddies for life after lifting the World Cup trophy together last Christmas. I mean, if you don't believe me, Maupay, after quickly realizing that he's about 63rd choice option up front for France, he saw a gap in the market and was begging Argentina to call him up nearly 2 years ago. Can you imagine if he had a good season under his belt for Everton, scoring 15 goals in the league? Oh, he would have gone through that World Cup, taking the place of Sergio Aguero in the squad, and would have just awkwardly sat on the bench watching his teammates beat his actual nation France in the final. Oh, can you imagine a reality where Aguero has to pretend he has a World Cup medal in the dressing room for the photos on Instagram, while his ex-bride lump of useless meatloaf actually has the real one? You know, the only French guy in the Argentina squad? Somebody was probably gutted that France lost the match. But no, Martinez tries to drag this guy up off the floor. And you know why? You know why he lost his temper? Because Martinez was part of the Arsenal squad who hated Maupay in June 2020. He had a scuffle with Matteo Guendouzi on the pitch, scored the winner in front of no fans, and then accused the Gunners players of being arrogant. He was like that squad's new Troy Deeney. So yeah, Martinez will remember Maupay for being a troublesome goat, the enemy of the Arsenal dressing room, and that's why he lost his cool. Despite the fact that Aston Villa were actually winning the match. But lads, Villa are third in the league, 1 point off the top. What is going on? Burnley 0, Everton 2. Put some massive respect on Sean Dyche's name. Lads, I know it doesn't look pretty wallowing 16th in the league, but if you just delete that stupid 10 points deduction, then Everton will be 10th in the league, 4 points ahead of Megabucks Chelsea, level on points with Brighton, and weirdly, just 8 points behind Man City. 8 points off Champions League football. That is weird. Lads, this was 4 Premier League wins in a row without conceding a single goal. 4 clean sheets. That is immense. What this reminds me of is Everton under David Moyes in 2004, when they had the mother of all shock seasons, to somehow go from finishing 17th in 2004 to then 4th in 2005. You know what's really spooky? In 2004, when Everton finished 17th under Moyes, Leicester and Leeds finished 18th and 19th, getting relegated. When Everton then finished 4th the next year in 2005, Southampton were relegated, finishing bottom of the league. I'm sorry, but Everton 17th, Leicester 18th, Leeds 19th, Southampton 20th. That was last season too. I'm sorry, but spooky, right? Does that mean this season Everton are now going to finish 4th? West Ham 3, Wolves 0. I told you Wolves were not going to score a goal. Absolutely not. This was an absolute West Ham blitz. 2 goals from Mohamed Kudus. Lucas Paqueta pulled strings like a monster mini magician. And yeah, Jared Bowen scores again. Just the perfect West Ham display. But Wolves were brutally brutal. It's almost as if Gary O'Neill is a putting wet blanket of a coach. Arsenal 2, Brighton 0. Great win for Arsenal. Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz on the score sheet. Brilliant, important, necessary win. What a great victory. 2-0. Well done. Bournemouth 1, Luton 1. Lads, all I'm going to say for this segment is that I honestly, my thoughts are with Tom Lockyer. For this to happen to him twice in the space of 6 months must be really, really scary. And honestly, it probably means he's going to have a horrible Christmas. So, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that the man should retire for the sake of his health. I'm not going to say that. I'm not a doctor. But, come on. Twice in a year. Some things are more important. So, yeah, honestly, my thoughts are with the guy. Have a few weeks, just have a think about what you want to do and just weigh whether all of this is really worth it. But yeah, honestly, yeah. My best wishes are with Tom Lockyer. Best of luck, Tom. Anyway, that's it. Let me know what do you think. Let me know in the comment section below. What do you think of the Premier League game? But let me know if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to go like, share, as always. I'll talk to you in a while.